Do you want to be rich and helpful in Phasmophobia this 2024? Do you want to know what ghost you're dealing with without evidence, look cool in the process, and in exchange, you get more money, more XP, cooler ID badges, and maybe no more people? Then this detailed, not so cheesy, non-gotcha style custom mode guide is for you. It's your boy, Basic Burger Boy. Let's run this. First, let's fix your settings. From the lobby, go to your main menu, then go to options, and under game, make sure your field of view is 90, unless you want to play like your head is glued on your screen. Max out your cursor brightness so you can see that little crosshair over there a bit better. Then under video, max out your brightness. Turn on the new eye adaptation feature and play around screen space illumination. Lastly, go to your monitor or display settings or even your GPU's control panel and increase your gamma while also reducing contrast. Gamma emphasizes gray, contrast emphasizes the difference between black and white. To see better in the dark, you need to increase gamma and decrease contrast. Look up the guides for your setup using those keywords. This next part goes out to the newbies. Let's talk about terms I'm mentioning in this video so we don't get confused. The smudge timer is the time from when you burned your incense while you're escaping until the start of the next hunt. This takes 60 seconds and above, depending on the ghost you're dealing with and their conditions for hunting. The no smudge timer, on the other hand, is the time the last hunt ended until another hunt happens. Because there's no smudge or incense, it's shorter. A perfect game is getting the perfect investigation bonus by getting the correct ghost, getting 10 3-star pictures, finding the bone, and completing all objectives. Non-gotcha stands for not playing this game like we're banking on easy-to-guess ghosts. We're not guessing and going, we're testing for accuracy. Pushing the ghost out is when you lure it out of its current ghost room to test its conditions for a hunt. Really useful for testing shades, mares, and onryos. You can do this with lights, firelights, or giving away your position to make it roam. Breaching is when you or your squad finally flood into the map with gear and defenses ready. It's bugged. 3, 2, 1.
We can look where after first.
Oh, wait, no, there it is.
Hot damn.
What the fuck, man?
What the fuck, man? Let's move on to my recommended custom presets, from Just Learning to Borderline Sweat. Pause so you can save these and take note. Here's Just Learning. Next is Getting There, Becoming an Overthinker, and Borderline Sweat. Here, aside from the usual no evidence given, no sanity, and no flashlights, the base player speed is mostly 75%. You can turn sprint on if you're just learning, but I recommend getting familiar with 75. The ghost speed will range from 100 to 150 on the hardest difficulty. The fuse box is not broken, so you can test Jinn, Mare, and Onryo easier. Some hiding spots can be added to help you smudge less and open more testing opportunities. All of these presets are playable in all maps, if you want to make it more exciting. And if you have a full squad, it's more fun if everybody gets involved and goes inside. In my experience, you can totally evade the ghost with no sprint at 75% speed, as long as you know your path, your hiding spot choices, and your game plan. Sometimes, you can even get away with no incense. You got this. Next stop is equipment. I'm gonna mention some specific tips regarding them, so jot down notes for the newbies. Let's start with a few don'ts. Do not, I repeat, do not put the following inside unless instructed. The spirit box, the ghost writing book, the dots projector, sanity pills, why? Sound sensor, and the flashlight. It gets in the way of someone's setup and may result in death. Moving on, you need a video camera and a good tripod to spot a fake mimic ghost orb. I use tier 2 because of its contrast, because as far as gray goes, everything is shining. Tripod tier 2 is a minimum requirement, so you can rotate to other angles while in the safety of the van. I bring this in when I breach once the other stuff is where I place them. For incense, I use the vanilla garlic tier 2, because it's easier to measure the blind duration of the ghost when it's also slowed down in that time frame. This works well with testing for Moroi because it's the only ghost that stays blinded and slowed for 7.5 seconds. If you white smudge a Thaye, it slows down to normal speed or faster twin. If you do this to a Revenant, it slows down like a Deogen near you. If you smudge a Deogen, it freezes in close range. and you still need to hone your trigger discipline. All maps allow you to throw objects inside through the entrance. That includes burning incense, in case you want to save someone who is stuck inside. If you're using tier 3, don't. You must be joking or trolling. Motion sensors can help you identify Banshee sooner than they will scream in the parabolic. So they say. Tier 2 has two modes. One is a single long line and the other is two lines spread apart. Tier 3 is area of effect, but has a rather weak light. You can turn off tier 1 to 3 by left-clicking it while it is placed. For religion product placement, aim for tier 2, because it has the same radius as a firelight for Onryo testing. It isn't as widely covering as a tier 3. The wide radius does protect you more, but it can also lead to fundamental errors in testing shade and Onryo because of that. When breaching, it is important to have a crucifix on the floor, the play area, the entrance, or on hand, paired with an incense and igniter. It prevents hunts in a radius around you while you're holding it up, and if the ghost does hunt, you have time to react, instead of being instantly dead.
Is it about to hunt?
Yeah.
Oh, motherfucker, you're right. Whoa, that was nice timing, by the way.
Always communicate where you move the crucifix and never throw these on top of each other. They don't stack unless you're replacing a totally spent one. Maximize its area protection, please. Now the photocam. You need this for a perfect game to take sure 3-star pictures. You can take the following preferably within 4 to 5 seconds when they happen. So blown firelights, 1 pick per blown light, burn crucifix, 2 picks, 1 interaction and the actual burn, disturb salt, 1 pick per stack per player. A solo player can take up to 9, a full squad can take 36, but you only need 10 for a full album. And the bone, 1 pick. Make sure no one else took this picture. You can take pictures through the entrance of any map using all camera tiers. For the capture ghost photo objective, make sure you complete the album first, unless you're just built different with the flick accuracy of an Aimlabs grinder. For firelights, use tier 1 sparingly, tier 2's a bit less thrifty, and definitely grind hard for tier 3. It's the only firelight you can light up and throw in and it will not turn off. I'd recommend scattering them a bit for a wider covering Onryo test of sorts. Visualize its radius as similar to a tier 2 cross so you can test if the ghost hunts in its area. I usually place a crucifix under a lit firelight since it's easier to center it in that order. I bring in the tier 3 EMF reader to catch unique readings like the Yurei double door tap, among other things. So place it near doors and 10 flaps around the ghost area. The bars here represent the EMF level, the number here stands for range, I think, and the arrow icon is the direction of the interaction. According to my friend and colleague Calcifer, he and his squad discovered that Banshees, Wraiths, and Phantoms have a teleport interaction that doesn't include throwing objects or touching doors. It's plainly teleporting on top of the player and it registers as an EMF2 reading. If you get this, a salt walk, a neural blink hunt, and some suspicious motion sensor pings close to you, it's highly likely a Banshee. Another cool thing is, he confirmed that ghost events are not roaming instances. This means that a ghost event doesn't mean the ghost roamed to a different location. This explains Goryo's or Yurei's doing events outside their ghost room. The main confirmation of interactions outside the ghost room would therefore be door taps, object throws, window taps, motion sensor readings, and EMF readings outside the said room. The thermometer can help you determine the ghost room, but it's not always necessary. A cold breath and a good old vibe check gives it away most times. For igniters, tier 1 can work, but take note of how many matches you still have. Don't forget to pick this up from the van when you're breaching. If you grind enough and get on autopilot, you might die if you skip this small step because you can't light your incense up without it. Parabolic mics will help you find Banshees or potentially suspect a talkative Myling. The tier 3 parabolic is a must if you understand what the circles mean. The first circle from the center is 10 meters, the second is 15, the third is 25, and the last one is probably 30. Within 10 meters, even if you're hidden, the ghost will detect you if your gear or your radio is on. This has killed a lot of new players that forgot to turn off their radio or flashlights. With of course the exception of the Deogen because it always knows where you are. Good old days, am I right? If the ghost can detect your tech only within 2.5 meters of you, it's a yokai. Beyond the 10 meter line and before the 15 meter line is the Myling audible spot. The Myling will have to be this close to be audible to you. Beyond that is total silence. This is also generally the equipment radio detection range of the ghost. You'll know you're in it if you turn your radio on and you hear the buzz. Speaking of the buzz and equipment disturbances, Raiju's cause this as far as 15 meters while other ghosts only do so at 10. The normal audible distance of ghost footsteps would be around 20 meters or more. Given its long range, you can test ghost speeds without line of sight at a safe distance if you like. Lastly, ghost events and hunts provide parabolic whispers. You can use those instances to get this objective done early. Know that paramics only work on the same floor the player is in, sadly. They don't go through floors. As for Salt, we use this for 3-star pictures and Wraith testing. Aim for tier 2 minimum, but if you want to half loop or to slow down the ghost, go for tier 3. You can place this anywhere, but for simplicity's sake, I place all of them in one pile at a tight spot by the benches, so it's easier to lure the ghost. Half looping, as Calcifer demonstrated, uses black salt to slow the ghost down in a planned position, and start confusing it with time strafes depending on where it is facing. Headgear won't work unless it's tier 3 because flashlights are off in this mode. As for ultraviolet, I'm only going to recommend tier 1 for this mode because it's good for early level lighting. If you change your gamma settings, however, you don't really need it that much. Last of all of these is an online tool, the unofficial cheat sheet. Link in the description. It is pretty well known at this point. It has a timer, a ghost footstep simulator for 50% to 150% ghost speeds, and other useful features. So refer to it whenever you are playing and explore the tools. Some ghost info may have been changed, so I'm sticking with what I have in this guide. Now let's get in a van and go with my personal setup, be it in solo mode or playing with the squad. To start, I will place 2 firelights in their key positions. All maps allow you to throw stuff through their entry points, so don't open gates and step inside unless you're breaching and ready to go. Next goes all 3 salt bottles for the Wraith test. I throw the salt near the end of the left gate so it falls near the grass but not within it. The crucifix will go near or on top of the first firelights I threw in. One in the middle of the gate and the other at the edge of the benches. 3 motion sensors in for teleporter testing. 3 smudges in a spot of their own, not overlapping other items. I set up a video camera, equipped an EMF reader and a photocam. I'm dropping the camera outside and throwing the EMF and photocam inside and not on top of the salt. I bring out the last incense, an igniter, and carry the tripod camcorder inside. Turn its night vision up, then breach. As you can see, the salt, the motion sensors, the cross, and the incense are all within my field of view. The other cross ensures I don't get killed instantly at the entrance. The items are also not on top of each other, making the incense more accessible. This placement ensures I don't break my wrist as I set up and get ready for the first hunt. Before I proceed, let's talk about unique hints, strong hints, the timeline of the game, and the gray area ghost test. Pause your screen if you want to take a screening. Unique hints are as they are named, unique to only one type of ghost. On the other hand, strong hints are mostly exclusive to one, but can be rarely done by the others. In the no evidence custom, we're testing and baiting the ghost to let out unique or strong hints. In concluding what the ghost is, however, unique hints always override strong hints. Okay, so unique over strong. Now the usual custom game goes like this. We start at the breach, we then set up the most that we can before the ghost hunts. It's the yellow portion of this graphic. The red period is the first hunt where you can observe most of the unique traits. Somewhere during the hunt, you pop the incense and start the smudge timer. The moment the hunt ends, you can resume setup and move things to where the ghost may be for testing unique and strong hints. You also turn on the power and the lights here to make testing easier. The purple arrow overlapping between the setup and the hunt portions would be the smudge timer. The usually okay setup time is around the demon timer, bordering on the normal ghost timer of 90 seconds. To be safe, I generally tell everyone that the demon timer is up so they can go back to safety or prepare for the hunt. This is assuming you use incense at least once every hunt. Also communicate if you smudged or not, unless you want to kill someone. If you're baiting for crucifix burns and not smudging, your window is really short, so knowing how much time a distance takes to travel comes in handy. Here are time measurements I made in Woodwind at 75% speed. Pause and take a screenie if you like. Now the gray area ghost test, aka the setup routine for harder ghosts. those who do not have clear unique abilities but a decent amount of overlap with most ghosts. So we need to squeeze out their more discrete differences. The core concepts are the same. It is faster completed with at least one other person that helps out. If you're solo, you likely need another smudged hunt to finish. For demonstrative purposes, let's assume the ghost room is the red tent. This is how I would want it set up after the hunt. I'll turn on the breaker, put a cross and firelight combo inside, turn the lights on inside the room, drop my igniter to free up inventory space, pick up another cross, a firelight, and a smudge. Then place that other combo on the outside. I'd circle back to get a motion sensor, an EMF reader, and a video cam on a tripod. I drop the cam on the opening outside the red tent, place the motion sensor inside, and the EMF reader by the tent entrance. That's around 90 seconds solo. So I pick up my defensive gear, plan my escape route, and trust the cross. In case you're solo, you can prepare for the hunt early and add more gear after the next smudge hunt. Now, I keep the bathroom dark and the lover's bench lit, so the convenient ghost room change would either be the bathroom if it hates light, or still the same room because I'm inside it. I would also spread firelights around for Onryo, and finally camp the red tent until it shows me its move. Now the ghosts. It's highly likely a shade if it keeps starting hunts in any room option I am not in, so any room other than the red tent. The outside cross burning is a sign, furthered by fewer ghost events, and hunts anywhere but where I am. Be mindful of ghost room borders. Nearby for shades is not measured by distance, but by simply being in the same ghost room. Now, if it doesn't burn the crucifix until it blows a firelight away, it is highly likely an Onryo, especially if it's not hunting within 90 seconds due to its conditions not being met because you keep turning the firelight back on. It will also oftentimes blow a lonely firelight, then hunt from the outside too, or roam where there isn't a firelight, even if there's electric lighting in there. So make sure that you're also moving the firelights actively if you're noticing it changing its ghost room as it tries to avoid fire. If it burns the crucifix without blowing the firelight, it can be a Jinn, Yurei, Mare, or Goryo if the other unique abilities are not observed. Meaning, spirits, demons, yokais can also do this, so you have to rule those out first. If you get a double tap, you know it's a Yurei, so observe those door side EMF readers. If you know where its current room is, measure its activity within the demon timer. If it isolates to an area, suspect Yurei even more. Only the double door tap guarantees it for me so far. For review, it looks like this. On the other hand, Goryos will usually trigger the motion sensors inside the room more frequently than the ones outside. When you're out of crucifixes, they're going to hunt from their room around 80% of the time. 20% of the time, they're gonna start while roaming outside. They can rarely change rooms, but it's usually next to their original one. The Jinn, you can test if you remove the crucifix and you hear its unique acceleration with the breaker on. Rule this out if the ghost turns off the breaker, by the way. Next will be the Mare. It will be less active in this setup and will likely roam to the nearest dark spot or the darkest spot of the map it could find. It's going to interact less inside the lit room and more in the dark. It can also start hunts on top of firelights, so it's not very black and white. It's a matter of more and less. When you notice it avoiding lit areas or fighting for its area by breaking lights, highly suspect Mare. They can still attack in lit areas but are highly more likely to start from the dark. Usually 2 to 3 light breaking events is a strong Mare for me if no unique ghost traits are observed. Lastly, have someone check the video camera in the van or look around before you put it down. You save a lot of time if you spot the mimic's fake ghost orb early, and make sure you don't confuse it with fireflies in Woodwind. This reminds me, I almost totally forgot about the easiest ghosts with incredibly unique abilities and hints. Now prepare your paramics and duck into cover if you still have time after the breach setup, so you can listen for the first filter of unique hints. Speed. Assuming you hid very well and the ghost doesn't have line of sight, you will possibly hear the following during the hunt. Hear that? That's a distant Deogen rushing to you. Even if you're hidden, it will stay that fast until it gets close, then it slows down to this. You cannot hide from a Deogen. So practice trigger discipline. Without line of sight, revenants sound like this. Slow and menacing. And when you slip and reveal yourself a bit, you regret making that mistake. Next is slightly slower than Rev and Deogen, but still in the scary fast category. The Thaye and Hantu would be around this fast, but they're different and similar. Similar because they don't know where you are and they both do not accelerate. The Hantu, however, has a visible cold breath when the breaker is turned off. The Thaye also slows down and gets less active as the game goes on, so know the charged Raiju and Moroi speeds if you're unsure. Next comes the Raiju. Far from gear, it will sound normal speed, like this. And when it gets near you, your devices, and motion sensors, it will go up to this. If you notice it's switching between normal and charged, Raiju it is. Then there's obviously fast but not scary fast. That's a Moroi. Though with line of sight it accelerates and can get to Raiju speed and faster. The surefire way to test it is to smudge it with tier 2 and count how long it stays slowed. Count like 1001, 1002, 1003, etc. for accurate seconds. If the slowed speed lasts for around 7 seconds, you confirmed Moroi. Then there's the awkward speed ghost, the twins. Its giveaway is it's slightly slower and slightly faster than normal speed. With a paramic, you can let it hunt often so you can hear both speeds. The slower twin sounds like this, and the faster twin sounds like this. Not very obvious if you compare it to normal speed, which is this. So an approach I want to share is using a song you like, that has the same beats per minute or tempo as the footsteps of a ghost. Pause your screen and take a screenshot of this so you know your tempo numbers for particular ghost speeds. Now, after the speed filter, we have ghosts that start at normal speed, which we can loop and observe up close for other unique stuff. First, the Phantom is mostly invisible with brief instances of visibility. Its opposite, the Oni, is almost never invisible, only vanishing for a fraction of a second at most. Here's the cheat sheet reference of comparisons between the Phantom, normal, and Oni flickers. There's also the Obake shapeshift. Be mindful of the 3 thin male models because at a distance or in darker settings, their shadows are so similar, people miss the shapeshift. Next, we have the Poltergeist. Check how far it throws stuff, its object throw radius, and how often it does this. Retest this ability in an area full of objects like the game stand or kitchen if you're unsure. Why do we have salt? Because the Wraith is the only ghost that goes through it without disturbing it, so kite it to the salt pile on the first hunt. Did the gate close but you can't hear where it's coming from? Probably a Myling. Its audible distance is 12 meters at most when the normal is 20 meters. Here's a clip of how quiet these guys are and how close they have to be before you can hear them.
From the tent, yeah. I can't hear either. Now I can.
Did you hear it scream in the paramic like this? You got a Banshee. Screams are rare to get by, so make a habit of picking the paramic and listening for one, or pay attention to your motion sensors. Banshees will stalk you or its target outside the hunt, and the motion sensors can pick this. During the hunt, you can test it with a friend if it changes targets. It can be also mistaken for a yokai, because it ignores yokai tests from players that aren't its target. Speaking of yokais, their detection sucks. They can only detect you, your voice, and your activated devices within 2.5 meters, compared to the normal of 10-something meters, just when your radio buzzes. During the hunt, make sure it's not headed to your direction by staying hidden or smudging them early when doing the ping test. If it still doesn't turn, go yokai. The last two would be the spirit and the demon, whose defining traits are their smudge timers. Demons can hunt as soon as 60 seconds from the time they got smudged. Spirits can only hunt again after 3 minutes. Take note, however, that demons will not always hunt the soonest they can. Other ghosts like yokais and onryos can also take their time before hunting again, especially if their trigger conditions are manipulated by the player. To be safe, 2 to 3 hunts with accurate timers minimum. Also filters out obvious mimics, and by the way, to mess with you, I want to share that mimics can imitate the same ghost in 2 hunts, though quite rare. Now let's go back to the breach hunt prep and see how long it takes me before the ghost hunts. I dropped the salt for Wraith, motion sensor spread for more area. We're positioning the gray area test further for some lucky unique abilities. And then we wait. Then we get to the hunt. Here are givens you should know though. The benches mostly cover you when you're crouched, especially at their edges, and less around their midsection. Treat it as a hiding spot or as cover as long as you're crouched. Turn equipped items off and avoid radioing comms or making any noise to remain hidden, unless you want to test. The ghost when hunting will head to your last known location by default. Otherwise, it will start a hunt and roam around cluelessly. If you burn the incense, the ghost either goes the opposite direction or the same direction it had before you smudged it. It cannot kill you while it is smudged. Learn to center your vision towards the ghost by coordinating your mouse hand with your keyboard commands. It's important to know where the ghost is turning so you're in control of line of sight. So far, it's normal speed, it walked on salt, so it's not a wraith, not any of the fast ghosts. No safe shift so far. Can I test for yokai? I guess I should. Okay, that's not enough. Okay, so I need to cram this timer. Because I'm an irresponsible guy. There we go. Okay, it seems to be on the bonfire, so I'm going to light the fire there for an Onryo test. Hopefully, this is the ghost room. I'm gonna keep the fires lit. Going to spread the motion sensors further apart. Maybe check if they ping any movement near me. I think I have time to turn on the breaker. Okay, that's another ghost event. This is an eventy ghost. Okay, now that's done. I need to turn on some lights in the area. Now I rush back to the setup. Turn on more lights. Let's see if this is a light aversive ghost. And while I wait, I have one smudge in hand. I can just take pictures. That one firelight is still within 5 seconds, so that makes for a perfect album, I think.
Standard smudge ending in.
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Now
1.
we just have to look for the bone. Oh, no blinks, steady speed, ghost event. It's getting more and more Onryo-ish here. But I didn't see that firelight go up. So I cannot conclude it's an Onryo, but I'm going to test for Onryo by spreading the firelights further around. Let's see if I can see that exact animation as it happens. Another ghost event. Okay, it's lurking near me, but oh, okay, so it failed its Onryo test now. So it's unlikely an Onryo. It can still be a shade though. You know, sometimes it happens. Though it's an unlikely shade, I'm just going to put the cross here and another Onryo test just in case. And I'm gonna camp just beside the cross. Shades don't do this. I can cram a parabolic test. Maybe it's a Banshee after all.
Spirit smudge ending in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, no whispers, some whispers, no screams. Let's see if it tries to hunt while I'm inside its ghost room. Okay, so it also failed the shade test. So far our options are the ghosts that are not exactly afraid of light. They're not afraid to be up close and personal. So I need to really retest Yokai. I'm going to stand near the cross just to make sure it doesn't hunt on top of me. Okay, now it's hunting. I can hear it, so it's unlikely a Myling. I can always test again after this one. We're going to try a Yokai test. Yokai test. Oh, okay, it's definitely a Yokai. Okay, we have a Yokai. We just have to look for the bone and complete the other objectives. Though I think I already completed them. And there you go. Do you have questions to ask, observations to share, experiences that make you question the game, and more? Let us know in the comments below, so you all have a reference point for your own duo to full squad routine. I hope you have learned a lot from this. May you get those badges, find those gray area ghosts, meet more people, and conquer the scariest of phantoms. I'd like to express my thanks to the people who have helped me through my custom grinding in Phasmophobia, in learning new things, experimenting with gray area ghosts, finding new settings, and doing the no evidence runs. Cheers. Burger out.